The Dragon episode 7 review, guys. Let's get right to it. Action. What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk? As always, I'm your host, Ryan, Ryan680.
Amanda Thakalian.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys, for your House of the Dragon special, ladies and gentlemen. This is our review of episode 7, DRIFTMARK. DRIFTMARK, this whole series, Sundays are just looking great and better and better and better. They really are. It's coming of age to where the time of the essence of the time of the dragon is becoming who dragons are with which family, and it sucks because they are all related. That's the terrible part, right? Don't you just hate it when families fight? Yeah.
Yeah. So we've seen in previous episodes, there's like a tension building, right?
Oh, definitely tension building.
Mainly revolves around Allison and her insistence of making everyone aware that the Ranera's kids are not legitimate.
Yeah, they're not legitimate.
She's super obsessed with essentially taking Ranera down. But the thing about this is now her dad, Otto, is back as the hand.
Yeah.
So we saw that last episode. And now we see it more.
Where they killed the hand. Yeah.
Yeah, we see it more so on this episode. He is back. So she has an ally in her. Her court.
The House Valerian, House Valerian and everything. The thing is, though, that's why I love how they really structure on the essence of ancestry, the essence of the house. I love how they do the funerals. We saw the one beginning of this episode, sadly, which was House of the Dragon, which was Targaryens. They burn their bodies. And the Valerians, they die in the sea, or they put them to the sea and everything. And then in this stone craving, which I really do. I mean, I'll be honest, I admire, because it's like all the houses have their own way of going out, their own way of funeral.
Their traditions and cultures. And I really like it. We see a little bit of that. So obviously everyone's gathered for this funeral. Yeah. I'm still mad that, Lady Lena had to...
There's even tensions with the guy that's doing the funeral. He's just like, our blood runs
Everyone
thick.
Is so because he's the uncle. He's Lena's uncle, Corliss's brother. Mm-hmm. So everyone is just it's at that tipping point. Any moment things could go south. That's how tense it is. With everyone that's attended this funeral. Mm. And my gosh, does it ever?
Yeah.
Go off the wall, hits the fan.
I never thought this could happen in one funeral day.
I know, it's crazy. Again, still shocked that Lena is not there anymore. Loved her character.
Man, I loved. Yeah, she loved it. The small amount of screen time we got of her was just so elegant, so nice. So I admired her.
She was such a strong lady.
Yeah,
I
thought she had a really awesome dragon, which we do talk about later this episode.
We see him in this episode. Or her. Yeah. I'm just shocked, for one. But two, I liked in this episode we see more of the kids. Yeah. Because these kids are going to be the next generation. And we've seen a little bit before about the three boys of Ranera's. Mm-hmm. And then the three children of Alicent's. Yeah. But we see them interact a little bit more in this episode, which I liked to see. Mm-hmm. But again, everyone's just fighting. It's just families just being tense and, jabbing at each other. They each have their own beefs.
That never happens. It totally does. Actually, I do love the beautiful shots too that we get of the dragons in here. We get a lot of beautiful shots of the dragons. Again, I always go into detail to where how very well they did their CGI as far as getting into the up close shots. I love that when they do these up close shots. They know how to make these movies or these series. They know how to make these CGI characters come to life, come to our TV screens, and every time we see a close-up, I just admire it because it's just so beautifully done. You would think when closer you get, the more the picture gets kind of pixelated a little bit, but no, not in this case. Not in HBO's case. They mastered that craft out of that. And we get to see, Sir Harwin too. That was their father, biological father, and we see the kids really why are we here?
Loss. Yeah. So they understand why they're there. They're there to mourn. Mm-hmm. Their.
But is it Ranera's fault though that Koilis' son is, doesn't what do you call it? Doesn't think Ranera is attractive in that way, or he doesn't.
It's not his fault. Yeah, we've established he has the attraction to the opposite sex. It's not his fault, but
he has attraction to his same sex.
He has been an absentee father and husband. So essentially,
that's his fault. Yeah.
She has had to deal with all these accusations, drama by herself. Like Lena is not by her side. He's off doing his own thing, adventures, his own affairs, living the life, right? He's not been there for the children. So while Harwin, when he passed, the kids really took it hard because that's who essentially raised him, Ranera, and Harwin is always around. But we also see also a little bit of beef with Allison's kids. Man, those spoiled kids. So the oldest one doesn't care, flippant. He doesn't want to be the no desire for the throne. The middle one is the one that feels left out because he doesn't have a dragon, which is very important in this episode. We see later on.
Very important, yes. And he even says he'll betroth his own sister. He'll impregnate her in a way. And it kind of like, oh God, like, dude, this guy's just—he's
the second son.
Kid. He's not even.
He feels like with any second sons, like he's not gonna be getting the throne titles, none of that. So he feels, I guess, more pressure to excel, or I don't know. So we see attitude from the kids right away,
definitely.
And then later on in the episode, we see Jace essentially steal the dragon and Ryder off, and then basically form that bond. So that dragon who is supposed to go to Lena's kids, I don't know, that's up in the air. So
it's no longer Elena's kids. It was betrothed to one of them, and the sad part is that it's not sad. It's like, again, I kind of feel like it's bravery in a weird sense, in a weird way. It really is for Jason and everything, because he really comes up and he really takes over the saddle. And I like how they all have saddles. I like how it wasn't, so that's definitely a nice, good detail they put in this series.
That was brave of him to do that. Stupid, but brave.
Yeah.
But where it does take the turn for the worst, it was just shows his character, his true character, is when he's confronted by essentially his cousins about the dragon, and he says some very awful words, and they essentially beat up each other.
Dude, not in a funny way though. Like it gets brutal.
It gets brutal. But like, you kind of like,
at first in the beginning, it's kind of like, okay, kids be kids. But then when weapons and rocks started coming out,
and then words like "I'm gonna kill you,"
bastards.
I don't want to say he had it coming, but
he had it coming. He did, and bastards. And then also we get into a very tension building here, a tension release in a way, where we get to see all the families all out with the court, with everyone that's close to that family, the House Targaryen.
Everyone is just like, it's a he said, she said kind of thing. And it's like, who do you believe? Like, who do the adults believe, about what happened? And
exactly,
this is like the pivotal breaking point of where, it comes to like, well, obviously those kids aren't legitimate.
Yes.
And, what happens next? And, the king has a soft spot for his daughter still, even though... I mean,
it's Ranera, though. You got to remember, it's Ranera. She's the heir to the Iron Throne. He has to have a soft spot for her. And we get Allison seeing her true side. The whole world seeing her true side.
Everyone sees it. So she's kind of always been proper this whole time, but she really loses it. And she essentially wants an eye for an eye. So one of Rhaenyra's kids made the cut on, Jason's
Rhaenyra's
eye.
Kids,
and so now Allison wants revenge.
Yeah.
She wants eye for an eye. Literally, she wants to gouge and take a child's eye.
But before
that's how petty
before
she is.
that, let's talk about the intimacy with Rhaenyra and Damon. So I think Damon is just sitting back, and even at the beginning of this episode, he laughs because he's like, our blood, Valyrian blood runs thick. And he just laughs because it's like, I think he loves and enjoys seeing the families just go at it with each other. He just watches. I love how the tension, it's all building up, and he knows the truth. He knows the facts. And he's just waiting for the king of Viserys to understand it all.
I think also because he, in a sense, has been right. So I think Damon, as, Damon is, he does care for his family. I don't think he would screw his brother.
And see, that's what I want to talk about, is that they cut off that scene in the last episode where Damon is actually
comforting
his kids.
after the death of the mom.
And again, though, I don't know if that's just because they would just didn't make it to the runtime. Maybe the creators were like, oh, that's not right for Damon.
Whatever that scene was,
I feel like that would have felt more stronger connected.
Little leaks online about there's a clip, a still photo of him embracing the kids in their loss, right?
Yeah.
So whatever that scene was, I'm really mad at HBO for cutting that out because we would have seen so much a different side of Damon.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is what it is. But I think he is like that because he's kind of right. Like, he's always told Viserys, like, I have your back. I'm going to be there for you because you're my brother.
Yeah.
These people don't hear. They're leeches. They don't want to. They're not here for you.
Yeah.
They're here to, like, use you, right? And I feel like as Viserys has gotten older, he's kind of slightly realized that. Like, he wants to make amends and peace and have family by his side because it's what's important.
Exactly.
And I know he knows deep down, as Damon is, he will have his back because he's his brother. So I feel like that's why they reach out. He reaches out to kind of like Olive Branch, make amends to Damon. Damon kind of laughs because he's like, I've been right all along.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we see Rhaenyra and Damon kind of reconnect, walking along the beach, sharing their own loss.
They both have lost lovers. They both have lost
people
they trusted. Again, they for Rhaenyra, obviously it's a mistress and her side boyfriend, and with it's totally different, right? But Damon is actually that was his true wife, and knowing the way she went out, I mean, it definitely is a struggle for both of them because they're both hurting, they're both grieving right now.
And there's always been an attraction between them both. So she mentions to him, she's like, I'm no longer a child, and you're what I want. And so they have an intimate moment.
They have sex. They have hardcore sex, intimate sex.
It's not even that bad.
Anyways, it's more loving. It really is. It's making love in a weird way, though. It's like, dude, that's your uncle. What are you doing? That's your uncle. Girl, that's your uncle.
I know
that's all I'm saying.
But anyway, so while that's happening,
but I like how they're like, oh, we're gonna keep the blood pure. That's what they're gonna do. Oh,
well, it's not awesome. Uncommon in history. But anyways, so while that's happening, the issue with the kids happens. Dragon's stolen. Kids are confronted. Kids are beating up each other. That drama goes down, and so when Alicent and Rhaenyra and everyone else is bickering about the
Alicent takes the blade of the famous Valyrian steel blade. Sir Christian is actually trying to attack Damon. Stops Sir Christian.
Well,
it's a whole.
I will say one thing though. So since Rhaenyra has essentially rejected Sir Criston Cole's proposal and all that stuff, and he's been all bitter and petty about it, and I've been so disappointed in that. I will say this: I do appreciate when Alicent turned to Criston and was like, you work for me, essentially telling him you need to cut this child's eye out. He did say, I'm only there to protect you.
Yeah.
He refused to do it. Everyone refused to do it. And I appreciate that. As much as his hatred is for Rhaenyra at this point, he knew the difference of not cruelly cutting a child's eye out.
Exactly, yeah.
On command.
It's moral,
so I appreciate
moral,
that. And I feel like we're starting to see a little bit more of like
how Alicent is to her kids, kids and to everything. Like it's just
in general.
There's just no loving. She's so cold-hearted to her kids. Rhaenyra cares about her kids so much. And essentially, though, we get to see a little bit of a game plan here. We kind of I think I fell for it. I know we talked about it. We see a little change here where Rhaenyra and Damon are driving a plan together, and are like, I can't. Rhaenyra wants to marry Damon and keep the blood pure,
but not just
and
that,
to keep the dragons and all that. That's the thing too, is that Otto also mentions it. Like her son, Alicent's son, his grandson, did a good thing because now he has a dragon. Now they have a dragon on their side.
So Rhaenyra, in all this hecticness, realizes that it's not just a question of her son's legitimacy. It's the question of her own ascension that's being threatened. So her and Damon kind of formulate this plan where they're going to marry, and it should solidify her claim to the throne even more.
I do. And this whole episode and everything, it shows how Alicent is not happy with the decision that King Viserys makes, and we get to see that a little bit. And also, we get to see a little bit of a plan unveil here. And I was very surprised at this ending. We got to see Rhaenyra and Damon fake death her husband.
I really thought he died.
I thought he died too. I was all like, damn.
I am so glad he did
Lenore,
it.
Yeah.
I am so glad he did it. And he gets to, be free of the
from
chains
everything.
Of nobility, his
from
title,
everything.
his duty, from everything. And he can, live across the sea
with his boyfriend.
Yeah, an adventure with his boyfriend.
Or husband if he decides to marry him. And essentially, and that's the thing too, is that like Damon is like, there's a lot of gold in the across the narrow sea, and I was like, dude, that is cool, that's awesome how he's like offering that instead of killing him. I'm very surprised. I've seen Damon grow. I think he's more like, I don't know, I mean, Damon's vicious, right? We've always known Damon to be vicious, but Ranera is like the yin and yang to him. It's like, it's essentially, she's more caring. She's more like, I'm not gonna kill him, I'm just gonna fake his. She could have killed him. She really could have.
She could have.
But because she cares about him and she knows how much he wants him to be free from everything, it's like, dude, this whole plan is really good. I hate it.
That got me though. I really thought, I was like, no.
I hate how we only have 3 more episodes left. This is definitely 3 more hours. Oh God.
So my question is, now that the king has seen how Alicent is, the question of the kids is like out in the open. It's no longer hushed, no longer a secret. He can't deny it, right?
Yeah.
I really want to know. And now that she's married, Ranera has married Damon.
Yep.
It looked like in secret too. So I really want to know what's gonna go happen next, because it's like a snowball, man. It's just the beginning.
The Valerians are obviously gonna think Corlys is, and it sucks too because they faked his death burning in their own house. That's vicious, man, for them to even think that. And knowing that now both his kids are dead, he's gonna go to war with the Targaryens, I think.
But he can't blame the Targaryens because the boy that witnessed it.
It's too much of a coincidence.
They could point finger, but I'm curious to see how everything plays up, especially with Alicent. The king has to die in one of these episodes. I'm sorry, his health has been failing.
It's failing even worse.
He looks awful.
He's calling Alicent his Rhaenyra's mother.
He's losing his mind a little bit. He called her Aema for a split second. So it's not much too longer for him. And now we see, like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And what's gonna happen?
I hope it happens this season, at least not the last episode, because then like it's gonna be like, oh man.
I hope it doesn't. Yeah.
And we saw a little bit of not necessarily a time jump, but the kids are getting
they're a little bit older now.
A little bit older now. So I wonder, and it looks like next episode we're gonna see them a little bit older too as well.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be another time jump. So all the actors are, except for Rhaenyra, the adults, all the kid actors are different now. So.
Definitely. But I'm excited to see. I mean, this episode was definitely intense. It was unveiling. I love it. Now Viserys is like, what is he gonna do? And I kind of feel like in the back of his mind though, he's like, okay, the one thing that could kill the House Targaryen is our own family. And I feel like I don't know if he knows that it's happening, like it's actually happening.
I think he does. He can sense it because again, it's bickering.
They're going to King's Landing. I mean, they have to, right? I mean, Rhaenyra and Damon have to go to King's Landing together. They have to, married.
They have to, and it's gonna come out, and
that's why
it's gonna hit the fan.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it is, and I'm here for it. I really am here for it.
Yes, binder blood. I love that. I love how Aegon the Conqueror did it with his sisters. I love how they mention all that history. Even Arya mentions it with Rhaenyra, like saying, "I admire Rhaenyra for what she did, what she did, and all that stuff." And 300 years later, with Game of Thrones happening, you could see how strong she pointed herself. And they even mentioned it too. House Valerian, Corlys mentioned it. I love that. He mentions that people do not remember bloodlines.
It's names.
They remember names. And I love that, because whether they're bastards or not, whether they're, just as long as they have the name Targaryen, Valerian, Corlys, it's just those names, Rhaenyra Targaryen, those names are essential to be marked in the history of time. It really is for the Game of Thrones era. And I love that. This is definitely almost captivating the same essence of Game of Thrones. I feel like it hasn't reached that level yet, but it's so damn close. It really is.
Yeah, it has. Matt Smith.
It's so damn close.
Love him.
Yeah, it really is. And essentially, though, I think for me, it's because there was not that many like broad characters yet. But again, it's because it's just about the House Targaryen. With Game of Thrones, it was like all these houses.
I know we had talked about it off camera, that it's a little bit different because there's so many time jumps. As soon as we start liking an actor, actress, they change because of the time jump. And there's nothing wrong with that. It has a story to tell in a certain amount of time. Cool. But in Game of Thrones, we had 8 seasons of the same actors. We saw them grow up. Yeah. Like we did. So it's a little bit different. We can't connect with some of these characters as much because of those time gaps.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe we'll get to see, hopefully Ranera and Damon, we get to see them all. And then the kids too. Hopefully the kids get more of a bright future now in the Iron Throne now that, she's still the heir of the Iron Throne. She really is. Ranera.
For now.
Yeah. What do you give this episode rating, Angela?
Oh, because of that ending, I'm giving it an 8.
An 8.
That surprised me.
I'm going to give it an 8.5, guys, because I enjoyed this so much. It really shapes the form, and it really is like, I get cringy, though, every time I see her. You're kissing your uncle. Oh, you're kissing your uncle. That's lady. Your uncle, and she's like so in love with him, and it's like, damn, okay, all right, whatever. But yeah, so we get to see that a little bit, and we get to see more so how their dynamic works together. We'll see it on the next episode. I'm excited. All right, guys, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, hit that subscribe notification to get notified on our movie reviews, or in this case, TV reviews for House of the Dragon. As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan 680.
Manja, that and
this is Alamo City Movie Talk. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Stay safe, San Antonio. Catch y'all later.